Hello and welcome to the Matriarchy. You're here with Kath and Lisa. Hey Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
We are going to do something a little bit different today. We are going to start something called What's on Our Mind?
Because we always have a lot on our mind.
We have a lot on our mind.
So we might as well share it with you.
So Lisa, what's on your mind today?
Well, we've got a big weekend coming up here in the United States of America with the No Kings, No Crowns protest. So that's been on my mind a lot.
2.0?
2.0, which hopefully means it's even bigger. And I hope everybody is going to find a place to go to. I know that there's some concerns because the administration has been making some moves or talks about, trying to not make this easy on people. But that's why we really need to show up in force. What do you think?
Yes, I was out of the country for No King's Day the last time, and I wasn't sorry to be out of the country. Well, I was in Spain, so that was kind of awesome. But
yes.
And actually, I think when it happened or the day after, we were actually on a tour of the palace. And I think I sent you a picture of like the crown jewels of Spain. I'm like, this is No Kings.
No Kings. They got rid of their king.
Yeah. So I wasn't around for the first time, but I have gone to protests before. But what struck me is how many people went that had never gone to a protest, how big it was, and how inspired people felt afterward, that sense of community. I had family that lives in small town America and in an area that they would consider pretty red, and they got 2,500 people out.
Yeah. That's what's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's when we talk about, our show is about uplifting women, right, and sharing our stories and empowering women, but it's also about protecting our democracy. And so
which goes hand in hand. Those two things go hand in hand 100%. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I think when we talk about protecting our democracy, what does that really mean? It means the power of the people. And and so I do hope that I would say that it's a success, but really, what does that even mean? I hope that that it doesn't devolve into violence. We're it's like a tinderbox out there. And so I do worry, for people's safety. I kind of like that in Portland, they're dressing like frogs, right?
Right.
I do think about what Heather Cox Richardson said often, is that the way we get through this is through community and keeping your sense of joy, which, by the way, sounds like the best way to defeat fascism.
100%. Right.
Yeah. Keep your joy. Be with people.
Speaking of her, I just saw a clip of her where she said something so poignant to me, and that is that if you are afraid to speak because of the fear of losing the right to free speech, you've already lost it. Mm-hmm. So this is it. This is, we need to exercise that right. We need to exercise all our rights, by the way, but we definitely need to exercise the right to free speech. And I think this is one way to do that. You and I are doing it here too. So that's another way to do that. Yeah. But we do encourage everybody to use, and even if you can't get to a protest, find different ways to support the protest, whether it, be just sharing it online and
Yep.
making sure that people recognize that it is intended to be peaceful, and there are some very good guidelines out there on how to keep yourself safe, how to keep your people you're with safe, and so definitely look those up, and maybe we'll throw those on the website. It's not a bad thing to do. So, but exercise the free speech, because without it, we don't have a democracy, for sure.
Yeah, I think, our world can be very isolating. And so, finding your people, being in community, And you know what's also helpful too, if you're like, I don't want to go to a protest, or like I'm not comfortable sharing on social media. I've had some people just like reach out to other people that have spoken up, and that keeps people going too. So even if you consider yourself more of a fly on the wall kind, I don't know if that's the right expression, but you know what I mean, like
you can be a fly on the wall in a protest.
Yeah.
You can hang on the edges, like, not everybody's right in the middle. There's it's a sparse thing.
There's room for everyone.
There's room for everybody. Yeah.
And I think we need all kinds of people, I don't think there's one way that we are going to like protect democracy. And if you're not at no kings, then you're not doing enough. Not true. I think people can contribute in different ways, and I don't want to invalidate ways that people are contributing, right? Some people are writing. Some people are just starting to have that conversation with people. Some people are out there protesting with their awesome signs. Maybe some people are just making signs. But I think it's about more than protests. I think it's about engagement.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, protest is very important because when you show the number of people, because there's definitely people that support this administration who are trying to say that these are paid actors, that these are, that this is whatever they've been saying. They say all kinds of things. But I think that's even more reason for people to show up and, arm in arm with their neighbors to just show sheer numbers. And I think you're absolutely right, though, that there are many ways to do this. And I know, I think we just saw a very effective way when Jimmy Kimmel was canceled with ABC Disney. And the pushback from people in terms of canceling their vacation trips to Disney, canceling Disney Channel, the economic impact that Disney felt about that they reversed their decision.
Money talks.
Money talks. And so I do think that this is one thing to do, the protest, but if it doesn't work, if we don't start seeing policy changes, I don't know, we might have to talk about other types of economic strikes going forward, because that seems to be what the powers that be understand the most.
What they listen to. What gets through. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we spend our money where our values are.
Yeah, it's tough, though, right? It's tough because in our society, it's hard to find a corporation or that's totally clean, right? But I think
that's
that goes
true. I mean,
it is.
I'm definitely guilty of I have a big family. They're gonna watch Disney Plus, we.
Well, now it's okay. They brought Jimmy Kimmel back, right?
There you go. I think Andor is really good, so.
I've seen a couple of those episodes. They are good.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We also we're big Disney Marvel people over here. So get us a new Marvel movie. We are out and we are watching it. But I was willing to give it up, but now that they've hired him back. I'm sure they still are bad in other ways, but like I said, it's very hard to find an organization
and
that
you gotta find
isn't
a balance. But but you and I have talked about this as the purity test.
Yeah.
Of you have to be all in on everything is just not sustainable, and we're gonna tear each other apart when we really need to focus on the bigger picture of who are we, and it's. I don't know. I kind of want to get away from fighting people as to let's work together to solve issues.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's about solving issues and good policy and thoughtful policy, because sometimes we write policy that is good, but it hasn't thought through all the details, and sometimes there's some negative consequences that come with that too. And that is worrisome, because sometimes sometimes it seems like, the things that we're working towards policy-wise, there's such a push for change that are we thinking through all the potential consequences of it? Because sometimes one of my friends said this very, very well. Is that if you are going to solve one problem for one group of people on the backs of another group of people, are you really doing good? Right? How do we find policy that serves everybody the best possible?
You bring those people to the table.
You bring them to the table. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of work through issues and
yeah.
And I read something about compromise the other day. I wish I could remember the quote, but it's more like, yes, it's compromise, but it's like, how do you find a win-win solution?
Right. Win-win. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is possible. Well, I will be out with my signature collecting. That's been a lot of my engagement lately.
I'm not surprised. But I love that because I will be out with my literature for my candidates that I'm pushing for November 4th of this year. So I will be there to protest, but same as you, like double duty, right? So,
yeah, that's right. And, finding people that are, engaged as well, that want to do something. Signing a petition is pretty, like after voting, that's pretty a low ask, but it's very effective,
It is. Well, thank you for doing that.
And thank you for doing what you're doing too. And I think it's important to note that, like, we have elections more than once every 4 years or 2 years, right? This is an off year, but there's still some pretty important things on local ballots. So, I would encourage people to see what's on their ballot. Someone pointed out to me just yesterday that one of the benefits to an absentee ballot is that what's on the ballot. Right. Mm-hmm. I vote absentee now because I like to do a little research. My days of like, oh, this name sounds good are over.
Right.
I won't do that again. I'll leave it blank.
But you're absolutely right. I think, people who get the absentee ballot and they can just sit at home and like Google, while they've got the ballot in front of them. I think that's a very effective way to vote, to be well informed. Not everybody does that. I understand, but I recommend it. So
call a trusted friend. Or I was in a meeting the other day, and Red, Wine, and Blue is, they're touching on not every local election, but a lot of local elections. And you can see who shares your values, and then it helps you figure out who you're going to vote for. And so if I figure that out, then my husband and my kids are like, okay, who should I vote for? I'm like, well, you're welcome to the research. You don't have to. They're like, Mom, just
tell us. You did the research.
Yeah. They're not going to do the research. So
very, very true. And the other place is League of Women Voters. They're nonpartisan, and they always have their candidate guide where the candidates, answer questions. So that's another good place. And they often do forums. Where you can see the candidates side by side. There's a lot of good resources out there. And of course, all the candidates also, have their own websites or Facebook pages or something like that.
It's hard to decipher those,
It is, because you don't know for sure.
Because their best foot forward. And
I agree with you that the candidates will put their best foot forward. But I think there are some key things you can look for in candidates in terms of experience. And I know sometimes people want to say that experience doesn't matter, but it matters. It does matter when you're being elected to, even if it's a local city council or something. A lot of these cities have very large budgets. And I'd like to believe that the people who are sitting on the city board have some understanding on how to budget, on, how to do contracts, negotiating. So I do think that those types of things are important. Although city council can also be a great place to start for young folks. So, but it's nice to have a mix on a board, I suppose. Yeah.
I wanted to get back to something you said too, because when people don't know, they tend to vote for women. And I want to circle back to this point a little bit, because I think we've made this point a lot, is that women can be complicit in the patriarchy as much as men can be good allies. And so while I do believe that we need better representation. Just voting for someone who's a woman or a minority or underrepresented is not always going to be in line with your values. So you kind of have to, and the powers that be understand this, and they can often manipulate. And so I'm just saying it is important to, like, I want to vote for someone who shares my values. And I do want to see more representation and more women. But this concept of matriarchy to me is about the whole and how we elevate the whole, like, so I don't know.
What does the matriarchy mean to you, Kath?
That's a good question. And I wonder, like, and back to you too, because has my definition changed since we started this project?
Interesting.
Lisa and I started talking about this in like January. We launched in Mother's Day, right?
Yes.
And I don't know that it changed for me, but it has evolved. I don't think matriarchy is the opposite of patriarchy, in that I don't think it's like men are in charge and now women are in charge. I don't think that's it. I think, to me, patriarchy is a system that values power and control. And to me, matriarchy is a different system that values compassion over control and love over fear, and empowering people around, like, in a circle, instead of like, or maybe like, I was reading something the other day that it's like vertical power and horizontal power. And I feel like patriarchy is a system of hierarchy that's like a vertical power, or like maybe a triangle, if you will. And matriarchy is like more of a horizontal, or like a circle. And it's making sure that everyone is got the strength and support. And so I almost wonder if it's like, our last guest, right, was our first man. Jawan was amazing. And he said, he's not afraid to cry. And he said he can access that feminine side. So I don't know if it's man and woman so much as like this, the way we talk about gender, like men and women or girls and boys, we tend to like put people in these categories, right? When I think the truth is that it's more of a spectrum, and nature doesn't like binary. Nature operates in a spectrum, and
true.
I don't know. You can call it. I don't know. I'm going to shut up now. What do you think?
No, I think. Well, I think
I'm like having a hard time like narrowing down.
I agree with everything you said, and it makes me think about the words. I think patriarchy, which is obviously from paternal. I don't know. I don't know what the Latin base word is, but matriarchy is maternal, and so there is this male versus female connection to these two terms. And so I think that's why people automatically think, well, obviously in a patriarchy, what we've seen is that men are on top, and and then so they just assume that in a matriarchy that women are going to be on top, because it does seem like it's going to be the inverse. But I also agree that I don't believe that that's what matriarchy means. I don't believe that matriarchal societies have necessarily shown that to be the way that they operate. But having said that, I do question why are there genders on these words, right? So I don't know if I have that answer yet, but I do think that from in the patriarchy, we've been living like this for a long time, especially in the Western world, where the father was the head of the family, and everything is very much like paternal decided. So I think that's kind of like, when I think of patriarchy, I think of that, and it's like, and I don't necessarily agree that men naturally have these traits of the needing to control. Like, I don't actually agree with that. I don't think that they're born with that. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think that's true. But I do think that we have this system that we call the patriarchy, where we do, where it is on, control, and they use shame and they use force to keep people in line and to keep people kind of stuck in these modes of operating, and in order to succeed, in order to live. Because if you want to make money, if you want to get educated, if you want to do anything, you have to fall into this system. Again, interested why we call it the patriarchy, or why that became paternal. I don't know. Like, I guess I need to study more on it.
And I think there's something about, like, a strong protector that can be male and female. I can think of that playing out in my own life with my mom and my dad. But yeah, I think some of this is deep entrenched in our culture. There was a show, in the 50s? It was called Father Knows Best.
Yes, yes. And he was this nice, benevolent father, right?
Yeah.
But he still was, king of the household.
Yeah. I mean, how many shows have there been where the wife has to, like, comically go behind her husband's, right? Like,
did you see that Netflix show that kind of, like, exploited that concept? Oh my gosh, what was it called?
I saw an episode or two. I know what you're talking about.
It was really good. It was dark, but it was really good.
It was the main actress from Schitt's Creek, right? Like the Ew David.
Annie Murphy. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's her name. Yeah, love her. So she did a great job.
Shout out to Annie Murphy.
Yeah. So I guess I could, since we're doing this, I could go ahead and find what that show is called. Kevin can bleep himself. Are we allowed to swear? Wait, we just get an E, right? If we swear, Kevin can fuck himself. It's a good show. Dark, but definitely a good show. Anyways.
I think I watched an episode or two and I was like, I can't watch this right now. But maybe I will revisit. I will revisit it.
But it is. It's looking at those sitcoms where the man was always the funny one and the woman was always sort of the sidekick. And
or the responsible one, right? If you look like...
Yeah, like the responsible... Right. I
mean, it's probably not a coincidence his name is Kevin, right? That's like the King of Queens. And like, that was... Right. And then there was... Everyone Loves Raymond. It's like these bumbling dads. Like, no.
Yeah. But she was the responsible one, but also the butt of the jokes. And I think that was like...
Interesting.
Anyways, I recommend it. It was very good.
Okay. All right. Well, so maybe that'll lead to another What's on Our Mind a few weeks or months from now when I get around to watching it.
Well, another thing about TV that I thought of when we were talking about it is that as a kid, my family was a little bit nothing like things I was seeing on TV. Okay, we were like a little chaotic and crazy, but I would watch these shows and think, oh, if I could only be in one of those families, because the dads were always so nice and like everything seemed like so organized and like everybody, was kind to each other. And then I was just tricked to thinking that, sure, the rest of the families out there were just like those TV families. And lo and behold, that is not the case at all.
Lisa's disillusionment with TV families. Or maybe it was real life families. I don't know.
Well, no, because then I got out in the world. I'm thinking, well, surely this nice person has a nice family, or this nice. And I'm not saying they weren't nice families, but they weren't what I saw on TV. There isn't the perfect family out there. We all have our special, unique families, and it was a good lesson to learn.
Yeah, a sad lesson.
I don't know. I think, how to find the words on this one. I think that in the matriarchy, we will accept all the different people and all the different ways of living. I understand that that's not exactly what I'm talking about here, but
I hear what you're saying. It's almost like a sense of freedom that you don't have to fit into this mold, that even when you have this traditional family, it still doesn't always fit into that mold.
Perfect.
And so understanding that we all have a place.
Yeah.
And there's families that we choose, and then there's the families that we're born into, and then there's the families that we might marry into, or, I consider especially people I grew up with, their families are sort of an extension, and family's always been really important. I come from a big family. I have a big family. I got the Irish, I got the Italian,
But I think in the end, you're absolutely right. We make our own family. I think that's part of becoming an adult, is that you realize you're going to make your own family, which I'm just going to transition this into something that I think I shared with you earlier in the week. But I came across a woman on TikTok named Emily Louise, and then Matriarchy. And she talked about building mini matriarchies. That the revolution isn't going to be a violent one necessarily, but it's going to be many of us out here, thousands, millions of us, building our own local little mini matriarchies. And, that's how it happens. And in my mind, that is tied to building your own family, right? And I think you've done that, Kath. I think I've done that. And, we build a loving, supportive network with our family, with our friends, with our community. And I think it is a mini matriarchy. I mean, I understand we're still living within the patriarchy. We still have to follow some of these rules. We got to go buy groceries, I guess. But so we need the cash. But still, I think that's, I love that mindset as being, the way the revolution's going to happen. It's like you start at home, you start local, you start with your family, and you build the world that you want to live in.
Yes. And I think you're absolutely right. And I loved the reel that you had sent me. And I'm like, oh, this is everything, and I'm sure you've reshared it on our socials.
Oh, I did on TikTok. Yeah.
So,
but I'll move it to our other stuff now that we're talking about it.
Yeah. And because I think people would really enjoy seeing that. It was it was love over fear, and it was healing over hierarchy. And I think it's like these sometimes we think, it's not worth doing something unless we do it big. But that's just not how life works. Yeah. You got to get in there and try something, and then you just kind of learn from mistakes. And
see, that's the patriarchy talking in my mind. That's the and I had to unwind that for myself too. It's what you said was just exactly right. That's what I thought for so much of my life. It's not worth doing unless it's something big. And it's that's not right.
Yeah.
That's not true. And I think raising kids helps us learn that lesson. Every little thing you do for your kids every day, it all matters. It all counts. And I think we can extend that into the wider community too.
My mom has said this, and I think it's true, is you're kind of surprised by the stuff that bothers your kids when you talk about them later, and then the stuff that doesn't bother them, right?
Yeah. Right.
I might think of oh, I really screwed this thing up, and they're got to give them something to go to therapy about, right? That's going to be what they talk to the therapist about. And then they're I don't even remember that, but this other thing, Mom. And I'm oh, I didn't even. So I think that goes to that. There's just these little, life is short, but life is long too.
Yeah, it is.
It's every day we do get a new chance. And I like what you said too about, and I think this is on my mind, but I think it's going to be a different episode because I'd really like to dig into it. And it's the characteristics of a white supremacist patriarchal society and things that I thought were character flaws. I'm oh, wait, it's just, right? Seeing vulnerability as weakness instead of strength, perfection.
Yeah. That's a big one.
I'm oh wait, I thought that was a me thing. I'm oh no, we don't give people a lot of leeway in making mistakes, right?
We don't. You're right.
We do to have this David Goliath. It's the American dream and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But boy, when people make it, we sure like to bring them back down. And so I don't know. I think we are getting we don't handle grief well, right? We don't handle emotions well. It was just a few years ago when I even understood that like, oh, an emotion is just like a, it's not that much different from like a signal in your car. You know, it's just alerting you to something, and then you can choose how to react to it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect way to say it. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's another episode. I'd love to dive into that with you because maybe we have someone else join us. But I do think that's, deconstructing, the patriarchy
Yes.
needs to be thoughtful, and we need to look at all the angles of it because it does seep into just about everything we do and how we think about ourselves and how we think about our loved ones and our community. So it's worth taking a look at. Yeah.
Can I tell you one other thing that's on my mind, Lisa?
I love it. Yes.
Okay. So I save this mug that I use on our podcast, and I kind of don't use it other times, but I actually really do like it. But I've made a point of putting it through the dishwasher, which has destroyed some of my favorite mugs.
Yeah.
And look, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
12
High
episodes.
Quality. High quality mugs here.
High quality. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
And one of my friends told me that her and her husband fight over it. There's the one that they have. I'm like, well, you're just going to have to buy another one, obviously. But they fight over it because it's the perfect size, she told me. So there you go, guys.
It's a really good size and shape, I have to say.
It's lovely. Yes, I enjoy my mug very much. I enjoy all my matriarchy.
I like our matriarchy merch. I'm like,
yes. I'll probably go broke buying it, but that's okay.
I know, like we gotta make money, not just buy our own merch.
Exactly.
But I will say, like the hoodie is so soft. Yeah. Like
it is very soft.
I bought
it's
it like maybe
comfy.
a size too big, but I bought a large. I don't really wear a large because it's unisex, but I think it's unisex. But it looks, I don't know. Yeah. It's super soft, and I love the color, and so anyway.
Yeah.
Shameless plugging.
And the design. Kathy's our designer, so everything is very, very nicely, very nice. I love my Fall of the Patriarchy shirt. I should have wore it today. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have wore it today, but I really like that one a lot.
I'm not even wearing any matriarchy merch. I do often. But
it's been a busy day. Let's face it. I've been running around today. I'm here. I made it.
Yay! Yeah. Heading to a cross-country meet later.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's a good fall day.
Yeah. Well, I have another band concert. I was at an orchestra concert last night for my daughter, which was fabulous. They did such a great job, and now there's a band one tonight. So, life of moms.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
I suppose we should go. But I'm having so much fun.
I know.
But thank you everybody for listening. And don't forget to check out our website, check us out on socials, like, follow, listen, share, everything you guys can do to support us. You don't even have to spend any money. Just if you could spend a few minutes with us, we really appreciate it. And we appreciate you sticking with us.
Yeah. And you know what? In the comments, wherever you follow us, tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah.
We'd love to know.
Yes, we would.
So.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
we
will.
like to talk.
We do.
All right. Thank you so much. And welcome to the Matriarchy.
Welcome to our community.